As we near the end of the hottest summer on record, smoke from increasingly frequent wildfires is undoing decades of progress on air quality here in the United States.
Since the year 2000, pollution levels have dropped by roughly 40%, largely due to the Clean Air Act. However, a new study finds that since 2016, wildfire smoke in the U.S. has reversed roughly 25% of those improvements. That figure doubles to roughly 50% when looking specifically at the impact on many Western states. Marshall Burke joins us now. He's an associate professor for the Doerr School of Sustainability at Stanford University and a co-author of this study. So talk to us about the study and just the conclusion by tracking 2.5 levels over the years. For those of us that don't, go to Stanford and understand what this means, just explain to us, first of all, what particulate matter is, how it works in the environment, how it works exponentially to basically ruin people's health.
Great, thanks for having me. So we study here particulate matter PM 2.5. So the PM is particulate matter. These are small particles. The 2.5 is the size. It's in microns, so it's very small, 1/30th of a human hair. These particles are really bad. We have decades of research showing that inhaling these particles is bad for a number of important health outcomes, respiratory outcomes, cardiovascular outcomes. It leads to increased mortality. What happens is these particles get deep down in your lungs, they cross into your bloodstream, and they can sort of wreak havoc throughout the body. So this is something you really don't want to inhale. In this country, we've actually made remarkable progress in improving air quality. Again, as you said at the top, thanks to the Clean Air Act. So we've really made a lot of success. Since 2000, between 2000 and 2015, concentrations of PM 2.5, again, these small particles, declined by 40% in the US, so a real success story. And again, this is a result of bipartisan public policy, just a lot of success. What we've seen, though, in the last 5 to 6 years is that progress is really slowing and starting to reverse.
Yeah.
And this recent study showed that wildfires are a big culprit.
As you say, it's starting to reverse. That's particularly true in the West. I'm looking here, reversals of improvements, more acute there. How significant is location when you're studying these trends?
Location is certainly important. And definitely through last year, we tend to think of wildfires as a Western problem. And indeed, that's what we see in the data. The Western states, California, where I live, Oregon, Washington, and other states in the Rockies, are definitely the most affected states. These are the places where you tend to see more wildfires. They're closer to wildfires, and so populations are more exposed. But a big surprise for us is that we saw the influence of wildfire much more broadly than the West. I think anyone who lives on the East Coast or in the Midwest experienced this firsthand this year,
Right.
Really substantial wildfire smoke from Canadian fires. And so again, we see the influence of wildfire in the Midwest, in many states in the South, and including all the way to the East Coast. So this is no longer just a Western U.S. problem.
Yeah, absolutely. We covered that. I remember those photos there from Dumbo. So talk to us about, when we talk about climate change, when we talk about environmental issues and concerns, we talk about mitigation and we talk about adaptation. The most important way to adapt is moving. I mean, there are studies that show that in the future, humanity is going to be living for the most part in places that are not really good for us to, that sustain life. What can be done other than leaving the Western states to clean the air?
It's a great question. I certainly hope I don't have to leave California. I really like it here. So we can do a few things. You mentioned climate change. Climate change is one of a few key causes of the increase in wildfire activity. So slowing climate change will have a benefit. As we know, that's a hard problem. It's a global problem. It's not something we Californians can do on our own or Americans can do on their own. So there's other things we can do and that we should do that will have quicker returns, quicker benefits. One is what we call fuels management, is getting into forest and reducing the likelihood that extreme wildfires will start. Right. Sometimes that means putting good fire or low intensity fire, prescribed fire, on the ground. What that does is it burns up a lot of the fuel that's built up in our forests. With low intensity, doesn't create as much smoke and reduces the likelihood of these extreme wildfires. Okay. The last thing we can do is really try to protect ourselves when these events happen. And so that means making sure we have access to clean air in our homes, in our places of work, in schools,
And of course,
and
those
filtration
masks.
really works well.
Those masks that we are kind of recycling from the pandemic serve too. Marshall Burke, we have to let you go. Thank you so much. We'll take a look at the study and learn more.
Thanks.